All right, joining us now here on the show is one of my favorite people that I've gotten to meet in his 10 seasons in the NFL. Third-round pick out of, I believe, SMU. Yes, indeed. And the 2010 draft. My gosh, this is unbelievable how long he's been at this. Now with the New Orleans Saints, I love this signing. Emmanuel Sanders, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
I'm due. Describe me your shelter in place. What is life like for you, Emmanuel?
Oh, man. 2 kids and a wife, and I've been locked in for 3 weeks. And so it's like a roller coaster ride. It's like cleaning up all day behind the kids, telling them, don't do that, don't do this, and watching Netflix with my wife and hanging out, cooking, and just really chilling. My son has a respiratory problem, so I took all precautions. Like,
Okay.
Even before they told us to go into quarantine, like I took my son out of school like a week prior. So it's been a long process, but hopefully everything calms down here soon and things can get back to normal. I'm praying.
No doubt about it. How old are your kids, Emmanuel? How old are they?
I got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. My son is the oldest. My daughter is 3.
Wow. So are you?
Can you imagine? Like, this is probably the most I think everybody can speak for this. The most I've been at home, and the most I've probably cleaned up and washed dishes more than.
Oh yeah.
Took out the trash more than I've ever done.
Oh yeah.
Just sitting at home and cleaning up behind them.
We're all folding laundry. We're all doing that as best we can. And again, thanking everybody in the healthcare industry and hospitals for being on the front lines of everything. So,
For sure.
yeah, we're staying at home. As you see all those photographs of nurses holding up the signs and doctors, we're here for you. You stay home for us, as you are doing, Emmanuel Sanders. But are you watching Tiger King? Are you doing that on Netflix?
Yeah. I actually, me and my wife binge watched it yesterday. And I hear what you guys are talking about. It's definitely a crazy show. It's very highly dramatic. It definitely was entertaining. I enjoyed watching it. My wife's not so much because she thought it was a show and everything, but I enjoyed it. Just the fact that these people are really going into cages with these tigers and how they treat the tigers and how they look at it as a business and everything. And for me, there's no way in the heck you can get me in a cage with a whole bunch of tigers. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I love my life, and I'll see it outside the gates. So I don't need to go inside the fence so I can feel dangerous. I play football for a living.
Yeah. The route is called a bang 8 for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Because you're the one getting the bang,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. One of us getting bang.
Right? Somebody's getting the bang, maybe. Yeah, and probably, I don't think your contract, there's probably a clause in your new Saints contract or somewhere that says that you can't do what Joe Exotic was doing, pretty much, I'd imagine.
I don't know. I know skiing and snowboarding is off in there for sure.
Right.
But, players, they don't read that the fine line. They do what they want, as long as they don't get hurt.
I guess so. Emmanuel Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into it. What was your free agent process like with everything that was going on? Obviously, you said you haven't moved in 3 weeks, and It's been at unique times. Walk me through what the Emmanuel Sanders free agency tour looked like, and wound up being.
Well, it's crazy because I thought free agency started, March, I think what they said, March 20th or something. Or no, 18th.
Right.
And for some reason, free agency really started March 16th. I don't get why they even say the start of the New Year's this day, because people were signing already prior to free agency. I guess that's the day you can sign. But really, that whole grace period, that 2 days, the phones are definitely ringing. But I just didn't know where I wanted to go. And I spoke with the Bills for a little bit. And, I told him, like, let me think about the idea and give me a night. And, like, 30 minutes later, the Stephon Diggs deal went through, and I was like, okay. And so then I kind of waited. I was talking to Green Bay. I was talking to the Niners and just trying to figure out, what type of deal, what type of money they were talking about. And then the Saints called, and I was ecstatic about them calling, the opportunity to play with Drew Brees and everything. And, the numbers made sense. And, Drew has 2 more years left on his deal, and I signed a 2-year deal. And, I'm just excited to be a New Orleans Saint. I looked at the schedule. We got 11 or 12, games inside in the dome. And Michael Thomas being my counterpart, Drew Brees throwing the ball, Sean Payton calling the plays, and a wide open spread offense, just like I was with Payton in 2014. Like, it just set a new fire under me. This is my 11th season, and for me to be excited how I am in my 11th season, as if it's like my first season, it's everything that you want. You want something to give you that burning fire to go out and grind hard, just so when the season comes, what's at stake and what that city is looking for, and that's a Super Bowl or a bust.
And obviously, you being paired up, not just with Drew Brees, but can't guard Mike. That kid, Michael Thomas, is one of the most special receivers this game's ever seen. And I know he's only been off the campus at the Ohio State for just a couple of years, but he is pretty damn special. Have you been in contact with him, or how do you see you meshing with this young man that's caught everything, including a record that Marvin Harrison had up until last January?
Yeah, what an incredible talent, to play alongside a guy like that. It definitely takes pressure off you, but my job is to also take pressure off of him. And work together, and that's the entire offense. I haven't reached out to Mike, or he hasn't reached out to me. We haven't communicated, but eventually that'll happen. But one thing about me is I'm not gonna force anything. I'm just gonna let it happen naturally. It's kind of like when I left the Steelers and came to the Broncos in 2014, and Demaryius Thomas was at the top of his game as well, and going to Pro Bowls and All Pros, and it's the same thing, I just come in and I just be me, and most guys respect me for just being me. And so, I'm looking forward to getting into that locker room and meshing with the guys and having fun with the guys, but also working our butts off because, at the end of the day, the reason why I joined the New Orleans Saints is because we have a great opportunity. We got a great team to do something special. When I say special, it's to get to the Super Bowl and try to win it all, get to the pinnacle of this game. The highs of this game. And so I understand that, like I said, I'm not going to force it, but I'm just going to go in and work my butt off and see where the chips fall.
What was your conversation with Sean Payton like? What was that one like?
It was through text.
It was.
He had texted me. Yeah, he had texted me, and he told me to go and look at the film, what they've been doing the past 12 years, I think he said. And he was like, "You'll love it here." And I didn't even go look at the film. I texted him back within 10 seconds, and I said, "Hey, look, I don't have to go and look at film." I said, I know what you guys have done. I know what that system produces. I've been fortunate enough to play with June Jones at SMU in a spread offense, a wide open passing offense, and I put up crazy numbers. And was fortunate enough to play with Payton in 2014 and put crazy numbers up. And so I'm a fan of pass happy offenses. I'm a fan of offense that spread the ball around and spread out a defense and chunk it, left and right. And that's like a receiver's dream. And so I've always been studying Sean and Drew and how they go about their business, from Lance Moore to all the great receivers that's been in that system. And so I'm just excited to be in that system, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do off in that system.
I imagine,
I don't know what I can do, but but I'm excited about it.
You can figure it out. I mean, and I imagine you've connected with Brees so far.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So right when I signed, I haven't even signed yet because I got to get the physical with the whole COVID-19 thing. I haven't even had my physical, but right when Drew found out that I had picked the Saints and we had worked out the deal, Drew texted me, just text me. And I haven't had that since 2014 when Payton texted me. He texted me. He was the first person to text me before my family could even text me. Just talking about how excited he is to work, how excited he is to work with me. And I texted him back and said I'm excited to work with him and looking forward to doing something special. But it just goes to show, if you're a young quarterback out there in this league, true leadership starts at the quarterback position. And I've been fortunate enough to play with 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and just Drew and Payton, man. We want to talk about leadership. Those guys understand it. They understand that in order for a team to be good, it starts at the quarterback position and getting guys that want to play for you and want to respect you and ready to work. And so, that definitely made me more excited to play for the Saints and knowing that I got a quarterback like that.
And then last one for you on this in particular here, Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously, there's more to it than just who you're playing with or catching passes from. There's contract length, money, et cetera, so on and so forth, about family, where you want to live. But did you technically choose Breeze over Aaron Rodgers? Is that what you told me just a couple moments ago?
Yeah. I just, I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers because that's greatness as well. But it's just Green Bay, that cold weather, Rich. I wasn't trying to do it, man. I wasn't trying to do it. I'm like, to be in a dome, 12 games out of a year in the pass-heavy offense to go to Green Bay, and it's just like, I can't do it. I'd rather go to New Orleans. I'm from the South. My grandma is 6 hours away, can come to all the games. I can have my family drive up. It was just a perfect opportunity for me. But I tell you what, it felt good in free agency knowing that, teams who are on the verge of trying to win a Super Bowl or trying to bring me in. And, I never take things like that lightly because I know what it means. So it definitely made me feel good. But at the end of the day, I had to choose the New Orleans thing.
Okay, so Weather and your grandmother essentially were the Saints' aces in the hole in landing you.
And the financials.
Okay, that helps.
The financials.
Yes.
Yeah, the financials weren't there either. They wanted me to sign a 3-year deal, and I didn't want to sign a 3-year deal. So.
Okay. Emmanuel Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, I'm going to put you in the role of paparazzi, if you don't mind. Put you in the role of analyst that you have done so well for us at NFL Network for a couple of postseasons, one in which you were hurt. And it was so great to watch you come back from that Achilles injury at your age, which, again, is something that I'm sure you don't want to talk about, but it is significant as a wide receiver over the age of 30 for you to do what you did was incredible. That said, all put together, the conversation throughout much of late February and early March was that Tom Brady would be a great fit in San Francisco, and the 49ers might actually want to twitch in that direction because of a lack of belief in Garoppolo. And what fed that was the fact that there was so much running going on to get San Francisco to the Super Bowl, in which there was a certain wide open wide receiver towards the end of that game that got airmailed by Jimmy Garoppolo. Is there any Is there any smoke, any fire in that part of the conversation about Garoppolo with the 49ers, Emmanuel Sanders?
I don't think so. And being in that locker room and being a part of that organization, I think they love Jimmy, and I love Jimmy. You want to talk about a guy who is the ultimate leader, a guy who, he might have his mistakes, but Rich, you see this guy, he'll throw 3 interceptions. You go and talk to him, and he'll just be like, oh, well, I just got to keep firing it in. I got to keep firing it in. He doesn't budge. And I've seen many quarterbacks I've never seen Jimmy go in the tank. I've seen many quarterbacks, they throw 2 interceptions and they go in the tank, and I'm just like, oh, snap. Let me go and talk to this guy. I never had to have that moment with Jimmy. I just think right now, with Jimmy, it's coming and being a backup from Tom Brady and leaving the Patriots organization and coming over to San Fran. The moment that this guy got in San Fran, he turned the organization around. They weren't winning games, and then he gets into the lineup mid-trade and went 6 games in a row, and then he tears his ACL, and it's really his first season starting as a quarterback. Really his first season starting, a full season as a quarterback, and takes his team to the Super Bowl. And for me, I just don't think it's fair, because you see a lot of guys, and they're under scrutiny, but you just got to give Jimmy time. Give him time. Give him an opportunity. I just think that right now, everybody's pressing the gate. They're pressing the gas on him to try to speed up the process, but you can't speed up time. Time is going to show, what this guy is about. And if you go and look at his win percentage and you look at his win record as a starter, it's like 80% or something. So I remember it was a couple games that I looked over at Jimmy and was like, this guy is a winner. This guy is a winner. You check his record, you check his win percentage, he's a winner. At the end of the day, our running game was our running game. We were able to run the ball and we were able to win games, but that's not to go to say that it was because of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's because why change it? Why try to prove a point that, our quarterback can throw the ball when we can run the ball for 300 yards on the team and win by 30 or 40 points? And so, it was plenty of games where we had to rely on his arm. You go back to the New Orleans Saints game. We were down 21 points, and Jimmy came in, and we came back, and we were slinging the ball all over, and he converted, the deep ball to me, and the third and I think 7 to George Kittle, and he was just making throws, and we won games. And we won games off Jimmy arms, and we won games off the run game. And so I just think that with time, they just got to give Jimmy time. But what I see right now is just pure greatness based off his win percentage and his character and the way that this guy comes to work every day.
Well, that is definitely a full-throated support of Jimmy G right there. Walk me through that play in the Super Bowl I was referring to. That ball's in the air. Are you thinking this is a touchdown? I'm going to have the game-winning Super Bowl. Walk me through that one.
And that play, it's crazy because, that play could have been a legendary play for me and Jimmy. But, I believe in destiny, and it just wasn't our time. I feel like it was the Chiefs' time, and kudos to them. But, man, I remember Kyle called a play. I remember coming out, and I see the corner. He's low. I'm just like, I'm about to fly past this dude. I'm like, just get up on his toes. Do not rush it. And I hear Jimmy say, all right. And I go, and I beat the corner. And then I look, and I see the safety, and I start running. I see the ball in the air, and I'm like, this is a touchdown. And probably about 2 or 3 steps after I saw the ball in the air, I was like, holy man, I'm like, it's too far. It's too far. And, I ended up trying to get it, and the guy tripped me up, and ended up falling and clapping my hands because I knew that was an opportunity for us to capitalize and, win the game. But I didn't think the game would be over based off that play because we had another play. But
right.
It just wasn't our time, and Jimmy knows it, and I know it. That was the opportunity of a lifetime for us to capitalize on, but it didn't happen, and so we move on. I don't have any resentment. I don't say, Jimmy's a bad quarterback because of one play. It just didn't go our way, so it is what it is.
Okay, and what was he like in the huddle right after that? Just moving on, just to I guess put a button on this.
We moved on, and then after the game, I had saw him out by the hotel. He just walked up to me, and he was just like, man, like, and I was like, Jimmy, look, I was like, dude, the whole world is going to try to beat you up over this pass. And I told him, I said, bro, like, I love you. I said, I love you. And then, bro, I was like, at the end of the day, it's just one play of many plays that we've made. We've made that play over and over in practice. It is what it is. It just wasn't destined for us to be. And so, and Jimmy, he's one of those types. He's not gonna beat himself up. He's gonna look at it just like me because if you sit up and you beat yourself up over something that you can't control anymore, you're only harming yourself. And so he's one of those guys. He's gonna be able to put it in the rearview mirror and move on and look forward to the next opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to finish up our conversation with our question of the day, which is, Apple has come up with the technology to allow somebody to take back a text if they sent it in the wrong way or the wrong person. And what would be the sports moment that you would take back if you could hit unsend or take back? Is that the one from your whole life, career, or is there another one, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely that play. If I can get that back and connect on a perfect pass and run to the end zone. That's a legendary moment. Rich, you know what that means. You know what that means for a receiver and for a quarterback. That's a play that they're running over and over on NFL film. It's that clutch. And, unless Patrick Mahomes would have went down with I think the 40-something seconds left or something,
right,
or a minute or something left and scored. If we would have won that game and connected on that pass, that's a legendary moment. So definitely that moment, but it wasn't meant to be.
All right, Emmanuel, are you aware, you went to the, obviously you're aware, the first few facts, but you went to the Super Bowl with the Steelers, I think, in your second year, right? Second year, correct?
First year.
First year, right? Then you went to the Super Bowl with the Broncos, won Super Bowl 50. Then you went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Do you know who is the only person in NFL history to go to the Super Bowl with 4 different teams? Are you aware of who that would be?
No one.
That
would be me if we go this year.
So you are aware. You are aware that you have an opportunity that nobody's.
I saw it on Twitter. It went viral on Twitter.
Okay. So good luck to you on that. I sure hope that I get a chance to see everything that in this crazy ass world clears up well enough to see you on that field with the Florida League catching passes from Drew Brees. You're an A+ person, Emmanuel. I love chatting with you, and I appreciate the time. Best to your family.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Rich. Take care of yourself.
Right back at you.
As well.
Right back at you. Follow him at @esanders_10 on Twitter. I do. You should as well. And at Emmanuel Sanders with 2 M's on Instagram right here on The Rich Eisen Show.